is Ima Ehumadu, aka La Vista.
My name is DK, aka Mama Chinedu.
Keep watching Rapid TV.
You are watching Rapid TV.
Shout out to Rapid TV.
Hey, Rapid TV, Korero.
The biggest, the finest, the only Rapid TV.
Rapid TV.
Yes, keep watching.
Don't go nowhere. Don't touch that down.
Keep watching Rapid TV.
This is me giving a rapid response to Rapid TV.
Good morning and welcome to today's edition of Rapid TV's continuously evolving social, political and general interest show, Korero. I'm your regular host and Kamyang John the Beloved, also known as the Controversial. Today on the show, we will be examining the implication of Canada's visa denial to Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff and of course other senior officers of Nigerian military, and how this will rub off on Nigeria-Canada relations. But before we get into the details of today's conversation, let me remind you, as always, that the show is live and interactive on all our social media platforms. As we speak, we are streaming live on our website, www.rbnradiotv.com. And so you get to watch the show live and, of course, get to interact with us via all our social media platforms simply by following and liking Rapid TV. Remember, our official handle is at Official Rapid TV. And you can also explore using our WhatsApp portal with the number 0916-771-6035. 0916-771-6035. And of course, you can be part of our growing online community simply by engaging us online by sharing your views and comments and reactions to the subject of conversation. Now, Nigeria's National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, expressed strong disappointment and disapproval over the Canadian Embassy's decision to deny visas to Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Mustafa, and other top military officials. Now, speaking in Abuja on Thursday at the maiden annual lecture of the National Association of the Institute of Security Studies, Ribadu did not hold back his frustration, stating that Canada, and I quote, can go to hell, end of quote. His remarks came in response to Musa's revelation that he and other senior military officers had been scheduled to attend an official event in Canada on Wednesday, but were unable to travel due to visa denial. So, let's see the reaction of the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu.
In fact, I sent General Mala, thank you so much for standing in for me. This is our head of our defense in the Office of the National Security Advisor. I requested for him to be here because I was meant to be out, actually. But after, I say, this man, if he calls you and you say you have something else somewhere, it is not. I decided to cancel the trip for me to be here. DG, thank you. Thank you for the work you are doing for our country and all very good, wonderful people who are here. My sister is here, the Controller General of Immigration. Well done. Every day I receive minimum 5-10 messages and directives from her. Every single day. Honestly, very good. Well done, well done. And also the customs. But things are changing, and I agree with you, Ajahn. Musa, things are changing. There is something new happening. We all believe that we are doing one thing. We all are in it together, work. We in the security sector. And I can assure you we don't even talk. Maybe 80% of what is happening today in our country, we don't talk. We don't. But we are happy, we are grateful for this opportunity given to us, first by Mr. President. We give him the credit. Yes. And I can assure you, we are all like one family. You see the military, with the civil police, with the intelligence community, with other paramilitary, all as one. Right now, I can tell you, maybe in many parts of our country, they are working together, operational, physical, in the bush, fighting to defend us, together as one. All over, Niger Delta, Southeast, Northeast, Middle Belt, Northwest. For the first time, you see a military man leading, a policeman by the side, DSS on one side, all others working as one. Even right now, I can assure you, it's going on. Young men, and not too young, all, and women, fighting to defend us as one and collective. Thank you so much, all of you, for that, for making it possible. And I'm going to just say a few things to just express my own solidarity, to identify, and to tell you we are all one together. Even though, this is the way you are going, you are threatening the MNI. And, take it easy. The young shall grow. So, but honestly, it's a lesson in how to, organize and do things. The Security Institute is changing, right? The time, of course, the combination of these leaders. And we are witnessing a birth of another thing, big. And that's how things work. If you work, you see result. If you don't, nothing. It will continue to be dormant. I think you are there since 2008. And the activities of this this period says it all. And that tells you about what life is all about. It's the ability for you to stand up and do what is expected of you. Yes, time goes. If you waste it, it goes. If you work, you see result. And I can, like I said, I told General Musa, history will count you in as well. So I will encourage those who are in the lead of this, do it. It will only be better. It's a convergence of, intelligence and service, security, and coming together in an intellectual platform for you to continue to make your own contribution for the betterment of all of us. It makes sense. And I will certainly always identify myself with it and support it, and whatever it takes for us to continue to improve. Thank you for the courage to say that Canada denied you. They can go to hell. Even though it's painful, it's disrespectful, but we are people. We are strong. And I agree with you. We have to fix our country. We have to do it well. Yes, this disrespect is too much. So, yet is another reason why we work hard to make Nigeria work and be respected. On that, I want to thank all of you. If we are on permission, I probably will now start my journey back. I was supposed to be out of Abuja, so General Mala, you stand in for me for the rest of the event, while I will take my own. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu there. And of course, that statement, Canada can go to hell, went viral since yesterday all over social media, virtually even on the front pages of most national dailies. That is what you will see, Canada go to hell. Anyway, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, explained that the event, which they were to attend in Canada, was intended to honor war veterans, including those injured in battle. He described the visa refusal as a wake-up call for Nigeria to become more self-reliant. Let's hear from the CDS, General Christopher Musa.
It's an event to honor our veterans. As an event to honor our veterans, those that were injured during battle. Remember last year the Duke of Sussex visited Nigeria with his wife. Through the Invictus, they have a foundation that they try to raise the morale of troops all over the world that have suffered one form of deformity or the other in the course of defending their individual countries. So we're supposed to be there. And actually, half of my team have already gone, but unfortunately, the Canadian Embassy, for knowledge best known to them, denied us visa. So I wasn't sure, and so I wanted to be silent about it. But when we couldn't get the visa, I said, this is a blessing in disguise. So I'm really very happy to be here. And I think this is just a clear reminder to us that we're on our own, that we need to stand strong as a nation so that nobody takes us for granted. You can imagine we're invited for the event with our team. Our team, half have gone, half have been denied. So the competition is ongoing with half players there and half back here. It's really very disappointing. But we thank God for everything. So it is with great honor and a deep sense of responsibility that I stand before you to give the opening remarks as chairman for this historic maiden annual lecture of the Alumni Association of the National Institute for Security Studies. Let me begin by commending the leadership and members of the Alumni Association for organizing this event, which serves as a platform for critical discourse on issues of national and global security. The National Institute for Security Studies has over the years established itself as a citadel of excellence in the training and development of security professionals. Its alumni, many of whom are here today, have gone to make significant contributions to the security architecture of Nigeria and beyond. This gathering, therefore, is not only a celebration of the Institute's legacy, but also a testament to the enduring relevance of its mission in an ever-evolving security landscape. Events like this also create valuable opportunities for key stakeholders to exchange ideas and insights that are essential for enhancing our national security and development. The theme of today's lecture, which is mobilizing stakeholders to curb insecurity in Nigeria, a practical approach, is both timely and critical. In a world increasingly defined by complex and asymmetric threats, the need for innovative thinking, collaboration, and proactive strategies has never been more urgent than now. From terrorism and cybercrime to transnational organized crime and climate-induced conflicts, the challenges we face are multifaceted and demand a holistic approach. As security professionals, we must continually adapt to these dynamics, leveraging technology, intelligence, and partnership to stay ahead of our adversaries. This lecture, therefore, provides an opportunity to reflect on these issues, share insights, and chart a path forward for sustainable peace and security. It also highlights the importance of a comprehensive, all-encompassing government, whole-of-government, and whole-of-society approach to addressing insecurity, as there is no individual, no organization can do it alone. The challenges we're facing is a Nigerian challenge, and all Nigerians must come on deck to ensure that we tackle this insecurity. I'm therefore optimistic that this forum will delve into actionable strategies for mobilizing and collaboration, stressing the significance for practical collective action and shared responsibility. The Alumni Association of the National Institute for Security Studies has a unique role to play in shaping the future of security in Nigeria. As a network of seasoned professionals, you possess the knowledge, experience, and influence to drive meaningful change. I therefore urge you to use this platform not only to exchange ideas, but also to foster collaboration across agencies and institutions. Together, we can build a safer and more secure Nigeria. Let me conclude by challenging all of us to rise to the occasion. The security of our nation is a collective responsibility, and each of us has a role to play. As we deliberate today, let us remember that the solution we seek must be practical, inclusive, and sustainable. Let us also remember the sacrifices of those who have paid the ultimate price in the line of duty, and let their memory inspire us to redouble our efforts. Finally, I'd like to appreciate our special guest of honor, National Security Advisor, who has given us a wonderful platform for us to work together in unity. We say thank you, sir. Your commitment and almost dedication to this, despite your business, is always good. We say very good, thank you very well, sir. I also appreciate all heads of agencies, invited guests, for gracing this occasion. Once again, I congratulate our chief host, the Director General of the Department of State Security, Oluwatosin Ajayi MON, and the Alumni Association on this milestone, and commend you for your commitment to excellence.
Yes, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. Of course, we've not delved into the core of our focus just yet, but it's important to establish some of the fallout of that maiden lecture that took place yesterday. But to give you more insights with regards to the lecture and, of course, what they intend to achieve at the end of the whole exercise, President, Alumni Association of the National Institute for Security Studies, Barrister Mike Ejiofor, in his welcome address, reminded graduates of the National Institute to foster synergy amongst member security agencies, as emphasized by both the National Security Advisor and, of course, the Chief of Defense Staff. And, of course, galvanized strategic government institutions to promote national security and unity. We are all aware of the times in which we live in, all across Nigeria, from the north to the south, the east to the west. So, this event is one of many that could lead to a holistic and more locally oriented solutions to most of the security challenges that we face as a nation. For Barrister Ejiofor, he said that the association should leverage its expertise, experience, and professionalism of its diverse membership drawn from the military, security, intelligence, regulatory, and other strategic agencies of government and stakeholders to be able to come out with a formulative strategy to deal with security issues across Nigeria. Let's hear Barrister Mike Ejiofor.
I want to thank all of you, especially the NSA. We've known for a very long time as friends, but you know when they get to office, you hardly get access to them. But his own is not like that. And the CDS in particular. I didn't even contact the Chief of Defense Staff that I was going to be the chairman. I just printed a card that said you are the chairman of the occasion. I say, my pleasure. It's not easy for you to arrest people like this. So I give God all the glory. And I want to thank you all, because Nigeria belongs to all of us. This country must be great and will remain great On behalf of all members of the Alumni Association of the National Institute for Security Studies, I'm honored to welcome you all to the maiden edition of annual lecture series. The association was established to unite graduates of the National Institute, fostering synergy among the members, security agencies, and strategic government institutions to promote national security and unity. To achieve this objective, the association leverages the expertise, experience, and professionalism of its diverse membership drawn from the military, security, intelligence, regulatory, and other strategic agencies of government and stakeholders. It is also of note that our members are spread across some African countries like Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, the Gambia, Rwanda, Chad, Niger Republic, etc., that have been participating in the course. Many more African and some European countries have indicated interest to continue with us. The association offers services to the government and its institutions through seminars and lecture series on pressing national and international issues, provision of technical and consultancy services to government institutions, collaborating with the National Institute for Security Studies to mobilize support and interventions for the effective training of participants in the Executive Intelligence Management course, among other initiatives. It is a rare privilege to have distinguished personalities from the military, security, and intelligence community gathered here today to brainstorm solutions to the security challenges facing our nation. The presence of these esteemed individuals underscores their deep concern about the menace of insecurity in our nation and their commitment to exploring sustainable approaches to address the issues surrounding the persistent insecurity. The topic of our maiden lecture series, mobilizing stakeholders to curb insecurity, a practical approach, is deliberately chosen to leverage the experiences and practical strategies of stakeholders in tackling insecurity across our nation and Africa at large. Distinguished guests, today is 13th February, a day that remains a watershed in the history of governance of our great country, Nigeria. 13th February 1976, I recall then I was in training in the police college, precisely 49 years ago, in a traffic jam on a Lagos street in broad daylight. Assassin bullets killed our then head of state, General Murtala Mohammed, on his way to work in Dodam Barracks, the then seat of government, in a failed coup attempt. The spontaneous reaction to that sad event to address observed lapses in the internal security of the nation was the immediate reassignment of the then Colonel Abdullahi Mohammed as military governor of Plateau State to set up and head the National Security Organization, which became the precursor to the State Security Service, NIA, and DIA. The trajectory of the establishment, development, and growth of our nation's homeland security can therefore not be complete without proper reference to the event of 13 February 1976. The day serves as a turning point in the security and intelligence architecture of our nation. It is therefore not by mere coincidence that the maiden annual lecture of this elite alumni association is holding today, but it is a deliberate choice of date to rekindle stakeholders' consciousness about our task to our nation, particularly at this crucial moment when it is required that our handshake across various security agencies and strategic services remains the panacea for our efforts at ensuring peace, tranquility, and prosperity for our nation's development. While we continue to pray for the repose of the souls of our gallant officers and men who have lost their lives defending our nation and our citizens, all stakeholders must continue to work assiduously to keep the flag flying in defense of our humanity and our nation, so that all forms of sacrifice by the living and the diseased will not be in vain. Our nation is indeed grappling with numerous security issues, including regional separatist movements, kidnapping, banditry, farmer-settlers conflicts, terrorism, arms deals, cyber crimes, and human trafficking. These challenges have continued to threaten our unity, undermine development, retard economic growth, and create enormous humanitarian and social problems. We hope, therefore, that by the end of this discourse, we will not only be better informed and educated, but also equipped to create a more practical, effective, and inclusive network to tackle these security challenges head-on. Before I end this speech, the welcome address, I must recognize the singular effort of the DGSSS. It is not easy to mobilize everybody here. I must thank you. Once again, I welcome you to this lecture. Thank you for listening, and God bless you and bless Nigeria.
That was the President's Alumni Association of the National Institute for Security Studies, Barrister Mike Ejiofor, of course, speaking at the maiden annual lecture of the National Association of the Institute for Security Studies, which he said serves as a turning point from the nation's security intelligence architecture and to rekindle stakeholders' consciousness about the task of ensuring peace and tranquility for the nation's development. The event was attended by security experts and government officials and focusing on formulating strategies to improve national security and international cooperation. It's still Rapid TV's continuously evolving social, political, and general interest show, Korero, of course. I am Nkamian John, the beloved, also known as the controversial. The show, on the today's edition of the show, we are examining the implications of Canada's visa denial to Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, alongside other top military officials on Nigeria-Canada relations. Of course, the earlier part of the show, we have given you insights into the conversation as it relates to the event, the maiden lecture for the National Institute for Security, the alumni of the National Institute for Security Studies. But we now go into our conversation proper. Now, many will ask, why would Canada deny such a high-profile military officer, I mean, the Chief of Defense Staff of a nation, not just any nation, Nigeria at that, visa entry for an event that he and his team were invited? Like you heard the CDS say, when the Duke of came and invited them for the games that is holding in Canada, naturally it was an invitation, and half of the delegation were granted visa access while the other half were denied. And one still would wonder, even if they were going to deny some members of the delegation, why the CDS? Well, some school of thought have suggested that it may be related to the fact that the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has been questioning international agencies for their contributions towards insecurity in Nigeria long before now. Just this few an hour or thereabout, walking into the studio, I saw a major story suggesting that investigations have revealed that the U.S. government has been behind the funding of terrorist groups across the country. Guess what? ISIS and even Boko Haram. But so if you align that with the position of the CDS, it looks as if some truths are beginning to come to light. Now, if you remember, just a while back, the CDS granted an interview to an international-based news platform, Al Jazeera. And the fallouts, the denial of the visa by Canada may just be one of the fallouts of that interview the CDS granted. Just in case you never got to see that interview, it's on social media, but let's give you an insight into the position of the CDS with regards to terrorist activities across Nigeria and the fight against insurgency, banditry, and terrorism in Nigeria.
Just can't understand why anybody will wake up and say that we're killing people when we're actually not doing the same. And guess what? Where the Giwa barracks you were talking about, we have all the humanitarian agencies working there. You have the UN working, local and international organizations are working. Are we saying they are complicit? There is nothing we're doing in the back. So if they don't say it, which means Amnesty International is equal, and Amnesty is equally there, so which means they're equally accusing all these other organizations of being complicit.
So just to be clear, you would be prepared to go to the ICJ in The Hague and answer these accusations?
We're not scared of anything because we don't have anything of such.
We've seen Boko Haram regroup, and regroup, and regroup. What is your answer to that? That you have in some way fed the insurgents?
The problem is that I think we've talked to the international community. Let's find out the funding. When they started surrendering, by the time we left, so as we speak, we have over 120,000 that have surrendered. Most of them, when you find them, they are coming with hard currencies. How did they get them? How are they funded? How did they get the training? How did they get the equipment?
What is your suspicion?
Well, maybe an international conspiracy, you don't know. Who knows? How are they be able to sustain themselves for 15 years? That is one question I think everybody should ask himself. For Nigeria to be able to hold them, and you go to Nigeria, everything seems to be working well.
You must have an idea. I mean, let's not talk about international conspiracy theories. Let's give some hard facts.
Well, I just leave it at that. I'm sure they know, and I'm sure everybody knows that these are the challenges we're facing, that needs to be addressed. So the UN need to come in to ensure that, because we need to trace the funding. How are they sustaining themselves for 15 years?
What does the UN coming in mean? What does that look like?
Track the funding. It's international flow. We don't have control over that.
Whose interest is it to see Nigeria destabilized?
Well, I don't know. You don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
There you had it. That was the interview. And already, you can't blame conspiracy theorists like some of us who are beginning to, pick holes, look at the details, and begin to ask questions as to why Canada should deny the Chief of Defense Staff of the largest black nation that has always been at the forefront of defending not just the sovereignty and integrity of the Nigerian territory, but we've spearheaded peace initiatives across Africa. It will be heady for us to be quick to forget the expertise of Nigeria in the days of ECOMOG, and which still resonates in the annals of history, the much Nigeria has done to contribute to the well-being, the unity and growth of the African continent. Anyway, the denial of a Canadian visa to Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has the potential to strain diplomatic relations between Nigeria and Canada. Now, here's a breakdown of the possible implications. Let's look at the larger picture right now. Let's start with diplomatic friction. Now, official protest. The Nigerian government has already expressed its displeasure. Of course, we did hear the National Security Advisor say it out loud. He said, look, it's disrespectful, but Canada should go to hell. Now, the Nigerian government has expressed displeasure with the decision, with the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, publicly criticizing Canada. Now, this could lead to formal diplomatic protest and a cooling of relations. Now, Nigeria might consider reciprocal actions, such as denying visas to Canadian officials or imposing other restrictions. Reducing cooperation, for instance. The incident could hinder cooperation on various fronts, including security, trade, and cultural exchanges. Now, let's not forget, the entire globe is already heated as a result of Donald Trump's, the Donald Trump phenomenon, or the Donald Trump wave. He started with tariffs, the issue of migration and immigrations and all not, and it's still not over just yet. Americans are grappling. So right now, the Americans are focused on the challenges they are facing internally, and of course taking their gaze off the ball, as the case may be. And so a lot is happening across the globe. Now let's look at damage to Canada's image based on this singular act of denying a Chief of Defense Staff visa. Now, perception of bias. The denial could fuel perceptions of bias or unfair treatment, especially given that the visa was for an official visit, not a personal visit, related to honoring war veterans. I mean, let's also look at the impact on African relations, because Nigeria, as they say, an injury to one is an injury to all. This suggests that Canada can do this to just absolutely any other African nation. If they could do it to Nigeria, they could do it to anybody else. This incident could negatively affect Canada's relation with other African nations, as it might be seen as a sign of disrespect towards the continent. I mean, we represent the continent. We are the giant of Africa. Now, setback to security cooperation is another thing that this is the fallout of this development. Reduced dialogue, the denial could impede communication and collaboration on security matters, which are crucial for both countries. Yeah, especially in the fight against terrorism and organized crime. Of course, it could also limit military cooperation between both countries. It might affect joint military exercises, training programs, and intelligence sharing, which is very crucial and critical in the fight against terrorism across all fronts between both nations. Now, by extension, that denial could impact on trade and investment. Uncertainty for businesses, the strained relationship could create a lot of uncertainty for especially businesses operating in both countries. Don't forget, just yesterday or a few days ago, South Africa suspended 600 US businesses based in South Africa, simply based on the fact that President Donald Trump ordered that no more funding for South Africa. And South Africa said, beyond just suspending 600 businesses, there will be no more trade of minerals and raw materials from South Africa to the US. Just imagine Canada, Nigeria in that circumstance, potentially affecting trade and investment flows. Of course, That also will result in reduced economic cooperation. It might lead to a slowdown in negotiations for trade and agreements or other economic partnerships. Need for us to look at the big picture. And of course, public reactions. Increased nationalism, as we saw demonstrated by both the National Security Advisor and of course the Chief of Defense Staff. The emphasis that we should realize, in the words of the CDS, we should realize that we are alone. Now, the incident could trigger nationalistic sentiments in Nigeria, with calls for stronger measures against Canada. Naturally, this story has been all over the media, so you could expect some negative media coverage. It is likely to receive extensive media coverage like we're giving it right here on Korero in both countries. I haven't monitored what's going on in the Canada media space in the last 24, 48 hours, but I know what's going on in the Nigerian media space, especially since news broke that the Chief of Defense Staff had been denied visa by the Canadian authorities. And this could further amplify the issue and shaping public opinion. So it is important to note that the extent of these implications will depend on how both governments manage the situation in the coming days and weeks. So, to wrap up today's edition of Rapid TV's continuously evolving social, political, and general interest show, Korero, let's look at some possible scenarios. De-escalation, for one. Both countries could engage in diplomatic dialogue to address the issue and prevent further escalation. Escalation, on the other hand, if either side takes further aggressive action, it could lead to a more serious diplomatic crisis. But in terms of status quo, the relationship might remain strained but without significant disruption, meaning that it might just end with the reactions of both the NSA and the CDS and nothing more. And the Canadian authorities don't even react. They don't even comment about the incident, and it just dies a natural death. But both Canada and Nigeria must engage in constructive dialogue to resolve the issues amicably and prevent any lasting damage to their bilateral relations. After all, Nigeria's, if I'm not, entertainer was quick to come out with the song Canada, Canada, Canada. And that was at the height of the time, at the height of the Japa syndrome, where a lot of Nigerian tech-oriented young professionals were packing their bags and moving to Canada. So it tells that there's a rich history between Nigeria and Canada. And this incident should not be allowed to mar a relationship that has been building or has been built over the years. So that's my position. And as I said, it is important that we look at the big picture. And that sums it up for today's edition of the show. But I won't go without first saying my special thank you to you, as always, for allowing us to be a part of your morning and your day. And of course, trust us, as always, to do our bit by keeping our ears to the ground and our searchlight beamed on developments as they evolve. So if there is any move on either side to have some form of diplomatic dialogue, we are keeping our eyes on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to see how they also react to this development that has been brought to bear by the National Security Advisor and, of course, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. Till we come your way with another incisive edition of Rapid TV's continuously evolving social, political, and general interest show, Korero, I am Nkamiang John, the Beloved, also known as the Controversial, signing out. And